Surprised my girlfriend with gifts for landing her dream job, caught her mocking my body to her guy best friend, so I ended it. Then she destroyed my home in revenge. Hey everyone. I'm a 33-year-old guy, and I've been with my girlfriend Jenna, who's 28, for just over 2 years now. I work as a veterinarian, and funny enough, that's how we met. She brought her dog in with an ear infection not long after moving to the city. What should have been a quick 15-minute appointment turned into a full-on hour-long conversation. I'd never been hit so hard with feelings for someone that fast. Before Jenna, I was fully living the single life. I'd pretty much convinced myself I was just going to stay that way forever. Casual flings, zero commitment, but honestly, it was getting old. That lifestyle starts to feel really empty after a while. Jenna came along and changed all that. She's magnetic, super outgoing, always surrounded by friends. One of her closest friends is a guy named Dylan from her previous town. Now, I do trust Jenna, let me be clear about that. But I'd be lying if I said their friendship didn't get under my skin sometimes. I don't make a big deal out of it or start fights, we've talked about it and she swears up and down that they've never crossed any lines. According to her, it's been strictly platonic their whole lives. I try to take her at her word. I'm not insecure or crazy, I even made an effort to get to know Dylan when he came to visit a few times. He's alright, I guess, but something about him rubs me the wrong way. He doesn't seem to like me, and Jenna chalks it up to him being protective. Personally, it feels more like he's jealous. Anyway, Jenna recently finished grad school this past spring, but job hunting has been brutal for her. We've been living together for a year now, and I've been totally okay covering rent and bills while she's been looking. I'm financially solid, so it hasn't been a burden, but I'm careful not to become a reason she loses motivation to be financially independent. I believe it's important for both partners to stand on their own 2 feet. I've gently let her know that once she lands something, I'd like us to split expenses equally. Then this past Monday, she texted me while I was at work. She got the job. The one she really wanted. She fought hard for it, went through some intense interviews, and absolutely deserved it. I was thrilled. Proud doesn't even cover it. So, I wrapped things up early at the clinic and left without saying anything to her. I stopped on the way home to pick up her favorite wine, ordered a ton of Chinese food, and even grabbed some fresh flowers. A couple of weeks back, she'd been eyeing this necklace at a shop, a silver one with a shark charm. She's obsessed with sharks. I'd secretly bought it and stashed it in the basement, planning to surprise her when she least expected it. When I got home, I slipped in through the basement entrance to grab the necklace first. As I reached the top of the stairs, I heard her voice. She was on the phone. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, I swear. I just heard her laughing so hard, like full-on belly laughs. It was adorable, honestly. So I figured I'd wait and let her finish her call before I made my surprise entrance. Then I heard who she was talking to, Dylan. No surprise there, they talk every week. But what caught me off guard was what she was laughing about. At first, I didn't understand. But then the words started sinking in. She was joking about our sex life. She said something like, "No, he can't even compare to my ex, he had at least 3 extra inches." Then she joked that she feels bad eating baby carrots around me because it must be traumatic for me to see something my size get chomped on. And she finished off by saying my body's great, as long as I keep my boxers on. Cue another round of laughing. Look, I'm not here to argue about penis size with strangers on the internet. But for the record, what she said wasn't even true. Which somehow made it all sting even more. I mean, maybe her ex was built like a horse, I don't know. But I'm just regular, your average, everyday guy. Not going to hype myself up or put myself down. I've never been insecure about it, until right then. The part that really crushed me? She was saying all this to Dylan, the one person I already have a weird feeling about. That hit me right in the gut. Hurtful doesn't even scratch the surface. She also threw in a little jab about how I might be good looking but not the brightest. Which, again, just isn't true. I'm highly educated. I've never once doubted my intelligence. So there I was, apparently the dumb pretty boy with an average dick. Awesome. I didn't stick around. I left. Yeah, I threw the flowers out the window. Yeah, I cried in a parking lot. Sue me. I think she might have heard the basement door or seen my car pull away, because she started texting me pretty quickly asking when I'd be home. That was Monday. It's now been days, and I still haven't said a word about it. I haven't figured out how. I'm still in shock. It's humiliating. It hurts in ways I didn't expect. And yet, I love this woman. I'm not saying I've forgiven her, but I need to be honest about how conflicted I feel. It's tearing me up. I know I've got to talk to her about this. I just don't know how to even begin. If anyone has advice on starting that conversation, I'd appreciate it. I'm wrecked right now. Update: Well, Reddit, your support gave me the strength to do it. I broke up with Jenna on Thursday night, and I've never experienced a more exhausting, dramatic 48 hours. Things got pretty ugly on her end. Following advice from my friends, my mom, my brother, and a lot of you, I decided to talk to her in a public but private place. Somewhere safe but discreet, in case she tried to twist the story later and paint me as the bad guy. I'd like to believe she's not the type, but after what I heard, better safe than sorry. I considered just boxing up her stuff and ending it with a text or a note. But after 2 years together, I felt I owed her a face-to-face conversation even if it didn't change my mind. We went to this wine bar downtown, the one with little curtained booths. Since Monday, she'd been extra sweet, overly affectionate, even flirty, like she was trying to turn on the charm. Either she felt guilty, sensed something was off, or had no idea I'd overheard her. She got all dressed up, looking incredible. And yeah, I noticed, despite everything, I still found her beautiful. She kept touching me, whispering suggestive things about what she wanted to do to me later. Normally, my poor average-sized baby carrot would have been thrilled. But not that night. Given everything that had happened, it was nearly impossible to sit there and pretend everything was normal. I had mentally rehearsed what I wanted to say over and over, so the moment we sat down and our wine was poured, I just dove right in. I couldn't tell you the exact words I used, my heart was racing so hard, everything felt like a blur. But the gist of it was this: I told her how deeply I've loved her. That she's the only woman I've ever felt such a strong emotional connection with. I said she's the first person I've ever truly let my guard down around, the only woman I've ever seriously considered marrying. I didn't mention that I'd already bought a ring, or that I'd pictured us having kids together in the not-so-distant future. As I tried to talk, she kept cutting in with our saying how much she loved me too. That I looked her straight in the eyes and asked her, point blank, why if she really loved me she'd mock me so brutally to Dylan. The expression on her face when I asked that? I'll be honest, it gave me a weird sense of satisfaction. As expected, she denied everything. Said she had no idea what I was even talking about. She claimed Dylan knew how much she loved me and that she would never joke about me like that. I just kind of stared at her for a second and said something like, come on, Jenna. Still, she stuck to the lie, even after I explained that I'd come home early on Monday and heard everything. I stayed calm, though it wasn't easy. I told her straight up that we both knew she wasn't telling the truth, and that what she said was downright cruel and unforgivable. I couldn't understand why she'd say things like that at all, let alone to Dylan, and especially when it wasn't even true. But she kept pretending I was imagining it. She swore she loved me, that she was totally satisfied with our sex life, never once complained about my size, and that she thought I was both smart and kind. Those were the reasons she loved me. And honestly, if I hadn't overheard her myself, I might have believed her. She was that convincing. She could have won an Oscar with that performance. Some folks online asked if I was absolutely sure she was talking about me when I overheard her, especially with the ex comparison and the baby carrot comment. Let me clear that up, yes, I'm 100% sure. She literally said my name during the call while making that awful comparison. At that point, I told her I'd drive us back to the house so she could grab whatever essentials she needed, plus her dog. My brother and his girlfriend would be at the house too. I wanted other people there, just in case of witnesses to show that I wasn't being aggressive or throwing her out in some dramatic, hostile way. I explained that I'd pack the rest of her stuff up later and leave it out for her to pick up when she could. She looked completely shocked, like she genuinely didn't expect me to follow through. She begged me to reconsider, but I was done. I wasn't going to change my mind. It was incredibly hard to hold back tears when she kept pleading, telling me she thought we'd be together forever, that she wanted to be the mother of my kids one day. But here's the deal, I own my house. She's never chipped in for rent, utilities, nothing. So I didn't feel bad about telling her directly that she had to leave. She kept asking me where she was supposed to go or sleep, and honestly, I told her that wasn't my concern anymore. She has plenty of friends in the area, she'd figure it out. Most of the furniture, appliances, decorations, that's all mine. The only stuff she really needed to grab was her clothes, toiletries, and personal things. Even the redecorating she'd done? That was all on my dime. Then came the waterworks. She started sobbing, saying she couldn't believe I'd do this to her. She kept repeating how she thought I was such a nice guy. I told her that I am a nice guy, that's why I didn't just toss all her stuff on the lawn, change the locks, and ghost her. And then, she twisted the knife one last time. She finally admitted it. She said she didn't know why she said those things to Dylan, but maybe it was because he brings out the best in her and makes her laugh about stuff that would otherwise make her cry. I guess she meant things like my penis? I looked at her and said, well, if that was your best, it's just sad. And I'm not usually the type to get petty, but I told her maybe she should just head back to her old town and move in with Dylan or with her 9-inch ex. That's when the crocodile tears dried up real quick. Suddenly I was a jerk. An asshole. A loser. A pig. My penis was tiny. She said she never really loved me, that I was more like a friend and she just didn't want to hurt my feelings, so she stayed. She even claimed she would have said no if I'd proposed. According to her, I'm doomed to die alone. And oh, she made sure to say again that my penis looked like a baby carrot. Just in case I didn't get the message the first time. I told her, honestly, that I'd rather die alone than spend one more minute with a woman who's cruel and doesn't respect or care about me. Then she let out this wild, unhinged scream. Not even words, just a lone, high-pitched, primal scream. And then she stormed out, yelling that I was a disgusting pig. I paid the bill, apologized to the poor waiter for the scene, and walked outside. She was standing on the sidewalk crying. And look, I know she said some awful things. But even after all that, I didn't want to just leave her there freezing. It gets cold at night this time of year in New England. So I offered to drive her back to the house so she could pack a bag and figure out where to go from there. She agreed. We didn't speak once during the ride. It was the most uncomfortable silence I've ever sat through. When we got to the house, my brother and his wife were already there. His wife stayed inside while Jenna grabbed her things, and my brother stood outside with me. It went pretty smoothly, no drama this time. One of her girlfriends came to pick her up. Before she left, I made sure to get my house key back from her. That night, she blew up my phone. Her texts were all over the place: apologies, sadness, anger, rage, then back to sadness again. I didn't respond to any of them. The only time I replied was the next morning, just to let her know her things were boxed up and on the porch, and she should come get them while I was at work. I didn't hear anything else from her the whole day. But just before I was about to head home, I got a final text from her. And it was nasty. Wishing me every misfortune she could think of. Still, I didn't respond. Then I got home. And my house was destroyed. She'd broken in. I don't know if she made a copy of her key at some point or if she somehow picked the lock, but she got in and wrecked the place. She smashed stuff that meant a lot to me. Slashed furniture. Clogged 2 sinks and left the water running. She left the fridge open and threw food everywhere. It was a full-blown disaster. The only halfway decent thing she did was lock my dogs in the bedroom so they wouldn't hurt themselves on the glass or try to eat something dangerous. Oh, and it doesn't stop there. I have 2 vehicles, my everyday car and an SUV I use for work. I'm a vet, so I need the SUV in case I have to transport larger or exotic animals during house calls. With everything going on, I completely forgot that I'd once given Jenna a spare key to the SUV in case of emergencies. Well, I went to check on it. She trashed that too. Inside was coated in flour and tomato soup. Just absolute chaos. And yeah, I know, it's just stuff. But still. I still don't fully understand what was going on in her head, what made her feel so unloved or resentful that she thought acting like that was okay. But here's what I do know: no matter what was going on in her mind, the things she said about me, the way she tore me down, and how she reacted when I broke up with her, it was completely out of line. I didn't do anything to deserve that kind of cruelty, and that's on her. Not me. So, Reddit, thank you. Seriously. Reading all your kind words and the support you gave me really helped. It's been comforting knowing I'm not the only one who sees how wrong all of this was. Now it's time for me, and yes, my good OL baby carrot, to eventually find someone who actually values me for who I am.